And so I like to think of stakeholder management. You can go Google it. There's a million different definitions. The way I think about it is it's the art, right? Obviously, there's a science, but it's the art of building and managing relationships with the humans who are going to be most important to your work being successful and thus the company being successful. And everything you're trying to do is not just about the what you do, but it's about how you work with the people who are going to help you make it happen. So we're going to talk about three different groups that you can influence. Obviously, there's a million different stakeholders within these different groups, but I thought I'd break it out into three and sort of give some key learnings from the different ways that I've learned to communicate and influence these stakeholders. So in terms of looking at these different stakeholder groups, I came up with this framework to kind of help you think about as you go through your daily life. Know your audience. Who are the humans that you're working on this with? Sort of what's the emotional, work you're going to bring to this, the EQ. And then of course you need the IQ. What is your material? You're going to be your expert and you need to connect the two to try to figure out how to connect your material to your audience to get them on board and help influence them, help to sell through whatever it is that you're trying to work on. So know your audience, know your stuff, and connect the two. So I'll start out with the executive team, right? However you define that in your company and your role, you have an exec that you work with, whether it's your manager, your manager's manager, your VP, all the way up, right? Until you're talking to the founders of the company, whoever it is, but your executive team, relies on you to get things done for them, right? They need you and you need them. And so how do you communicate in a structured way to the people who both manage you and the business to get things done? So my sort of TLDR on this one is lean into your skills so that you can establish your credibility, but always speak human, right? And I use the word human often instead of people to just remind us that everyone on this call and everyone that you work with is a human, right? We all come to work with the baggage of whatever happened that morning, right? Maybe you have a son who didn't do his homework like I'm dealing with this morning, or your person's sick, right? Maybe someone's family just lost their home in the LA fires, right? Like all these things are going on for everyone that comes to work, including you. And so it's always really important to remember that everyone is human. When it comes to your executive team, in addition to remembering that they are a parent, dealing with their parents aging, their kids growing up, whatever it is in their human life, they also have certain goals and challenges that they are trying to work through in their work. So imagine you're going to your CMO. You need to know, okay, I'm working on this MMM model, but they're also thinking about the brand and they're thinking about the board meeting that's coming up and they're thinking about, the team culture survey that just came out with dismal results. And they're thinking about, this new product launch that's coming up and they just got reamed at by someone, right? So you're coming into a meeting with your exec and that's all the stuff that's going on, right? And so you need to know, what are their challenges and their goals, not just with your MMM topic, which I'm picking on that because it's Madan's class. But how does that fit into everything they're thinking about right now? And what else is going on in their world, right? Obviously, this is one element, an important element of what they're doing. But you also need to do your homework on them if you don't know them that well. So Lorraine Toohill, the incredible CMO at Google, has a very specific style. And over 11 years, I got to know it very well. But I needed to know that when I entered a room with her, virtual or physical, I needed to kind of read what was going on for her, what was her, sort of where was she going to be that day? I also learned over time, what's her preferred presentation style and how does that change over time? Sometimes it's you want things on a board. Sometimes you need a really short deck. Sometimes you need a more detailed deck. So you need to kind of do your homework on sort of what is the exec going to want that day and what are their big priorities right now. Then, of course, you know your material, right? And you're not just an expert in your material, but you're thinking about how your material and your content builds towards the key OKRs that your team and that your organization is driving towards, whether it's just your team or it's, the broader organization. How does this model fit into making the organization successful? And with those two, connect the two, right? So, come into the meeting understanding that your exec has probably come from 55 stressful meetings and they may just need a moment to center and focus on you. But then relate the content in terms your exec will understand, right? Some of us have certain expertise and some of us have gaps in expertise. And so know how you can relate your content in human language, right? Use the terms that you need to use in order to show you're an expert and build that credibility, but have those terms backed up or sometimes just translated into human speak. And then obviously showing how your content is relevant to their work, right? Again, placing it within their mindset.